Today we are having a conversation with a man whose contribution has shaped the Kenyan political journey, and we have grabbed him amidst a very busy meeting. We'll just have like 10 minutes of his time. So this is just an introduction show that we will have with him, but later on at a sufficient time, when his schedule is free, we will do a full detailed interview. So please help me welcome Honorable Samuel Poghisio, EGH, the former majority leader of the Senate of Kenya. How are you, sir?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thank you. So let's just get to the start real quick. Kenyans are wondering at this point, because you have a lot of fanness out there. What motivated you to join Kenyan politics?
Well, thank you very much. Again, it's an opportunity for me to say something about myself. I don't get too many opportunities to speak about myself. And so I got into politics somehow almost by accident. I was a young man then. I was a school teacher in Cheviot High School in West Pokot. When the inevitable happened, there was a military operation that happened in 1984 in West Pokot. Rounded up all the livestock that was there. I think it was called Operation Nuno, and it was spearheaded from both Uganda side and Kenya side, that the Pokot had to be punished collectively as a community. And they rounded up on both sides. The late, who was the commander at that time? He was, I think, a Major Kaiseri, was the one in charge on the Kenya side, and then there was somebody on the Uganda side. And then the Pokot straddled the boundary there and live on both sides of the boundary. There's the Pokot in Uganda and the Pokot in Kenya. So all the livestock was rounded into army barracks, and a lot of the people were captured. Young people said they were cattle rustlers. Chiefs were sacked en masse. Some of them were shot. Some of them died. Some of them went to jail. It was a total punishment for the community. And then the political leaders were arrested, expelled from the ruling party, KANU, and some of them served jail terms. It was pressure on the community, and leadership was completely gone. And at that time, I just come out of university like 2 years, and I was beginning to understand the need to fill that void, to join these people who are fighting for our people. So I was kind of pushed into it. So after doing my master's degree in 1987, a new constituency was created. It's called Kacheliba constituency, newly created. And then the elders then came and said, we need a member of parliament who can fight for us, who will go to Nairobi and sort out this matter that we are being punished. It was therefore circumstances that really got me to say, I kept saying, but I'm young, I don't have that power yet. But they said, no, you've gone to school, and we don't have very many people who have got university education, but we want you. That's the kind of people that we want. So in spite of the government wanting somebody else, the people stood by me and elected me. So I was elected first time in 1988 as the MP, the first MP for Patriotism constituency. So true enough, I was young. I mean, I was not even 30 when I became an MP, and I started with a bang. I wanted the government to feel that our people will not be punished anymore collectively, that we need to reason out that criminals are criminals, but you cannot come and punish the entire community. This is around that time. I don't even know what the philosophy was to punish a community entirely. And when the people are pastoralists, they depend on livestock, and you take their cows from them and put them in army barracks with no grazing, they all die. So they lost a lot of their wealth and their livelihood. And so it was very miserable.
You said something that the community pushed you, even if other people are not interested on you becoming the first MP of Kachiliba constituency. And this resultantly, these people, these voices that didn't want you to become MP, did they attack you when you became an MP?
Well, first of all, they didn't want me to be an MP. Basically, this is for history's sake, for people who don't know a bit of Kenyan history. That time, this is in the 1980s, and before 1992, Kenya was a one-party state, one-party state. We didn't have two parties, and it was a de jure one-party state. It was, you could not start another party. It was illegal. It was by law. So you understand.
Yeah.
So the owner of the party was literally the president of the country, and that was late Daniel Arap Moi. And he determined who became the candidates in each constituency, except in my case. Yes. So in my case, he chose somebody else. So he had his own candidate, a man called Peter Langole. So that was the president's candidate. That was the party candidate. But the natives wanted me to be the MP, and they had no understanding that this party was controlled by the president of the country. So they just said, we need to support you, we'll vote for you. So after voting, and after struggling, they tried to read me out, and that eventually I got into parliament. After that, the owner of the party, who was now disappointed because his candidate lost, which was a very unique thing, by the way. A candidate of the party could never lose.
It was the only party.
It was the only party. But in this case, it was Kachiliba.
A new constituency.
And the new constituency, people decided, this candidate of the president, we don't want him.
Yeah.
So, but the president wanted him, the president wanted him, and the party wanted him. So I didn't last long. Within a short time, they came, and all they could do was expel me from the party. Yeah. So if you want to remove somebody from your own party, you just do, what you do is you meet, and you expel the person, and they lose their seat.
Yeah, we've seen that with the Senator Roba lately.
Yes. You see that now. Yeah. But that time you had no other party to go to. You know, now the senator, you can go to another party. Yeah. But so after that, you lose your seat and you go home. And then he brought back the person he wanted. That is the challenge of a one-party system.
So this is what happened to you?
Yes, that's what happened to me. So I was expelled. Alongside other people. I mean, it was another mass expulsion. You know, it was, I was expelled. The minister that time, the minister, I think Lotodo was assistant minister, was expelled and even jailed. I was expelled. A lot of our councillors were just expelled for doing nothing, but just because we had literally, I guess, embarrassed the state and the party by not electing the person that they wanted. So at this point, I was young enough to say, fine. I mean, I'm not a member of parliament, but that's not the end of the world for me. So I was targeted. But in the interest of time, let me just say that because of that, we were now marked as enemies of the state. We were now marked as, opposition leaders. And so a number of the opposition leaders, the people who did not agree with what was going on, were then arrested and detained without trial and sent to jail. Okay.
Let's come back quickly to 11th of May 2020, just to capture your resilience. You were expelled from this party. You said that was not the end of life. You came back, steered your way in Kenyan politics. Up to 11th May 2020, you are now being elected as majority leader of the Senate. Then, when you're looking at your journey then, was it worth it, the expulsion?
It was not worth it in a way, but it was a strengthening within me. It gave me a way to look at life differently. And I took time. I went to study. I went to the US to study, to do much more education, to get some more education. I came back and I went to teach at a university for 5 years. And then I relaunched my campaign again in 1997. And I found the same candidate who was there. And I wanted I wanted that candidate to know that I am still the people's choice. And so I enrolled in the same party, CAN, okay? Went through the primaries with the same candidate. I beat him in the primary, I won the election, I became the member of parliament for Kacheliba for the next 15 years straight. So, and you can see the resilience was built out of that kind of preparation. I realized how, dictatorships can happen, how we can destroy the lives of other people. Yeah. And I was ready to go and say, I'm coming back and I want to defend my people. I want to fight for this. But there are two reasons, basically. The Pokot people are very resilient in themselves. They suffer droughts and all sorts of things, and they survive. But they don't know how to deal with this government punishment that keeps coming. It's assumed that everybody is there for cut rustle, everybody is bad, and so they punish the whole community. And a discrimination of the Pokot continues, even today. Because it's a kind of, people have this picture that if it's a Pokot, it's okay to punish for them to stay, to be kept out. And so we were not encouraged very much. We don't occupy very high places in government. We don't have, the kind of wealth, the kind of thing that people do have. We depend on what we have naturally. It's a good place to be, but if left alone, they will suffer. They will not be able to defend themselves. They are not educated enough. If you look at, for example, how many lawyers there are, you'll find that there are very few, because schooling came a bit late for us. So I was determined, therefore, to say, I'm going there as the member of parliament in 1997 when I came back, and my priority will be to give them education. Give the children education. Start from scratch, but make sure the children go to school. And we started with one secondary school. We started building primary schools and secondary schools and getting children to go to school. I mean, today, that Kacheliba is different.
You started Kacheliba as a constituency from scratch to date, which now actually builds up on a follow-up question I wanted to ask here. You see, so you're so connected and you have seen leaders come and go in the years that you've served in parliament, in the Senate, and also in the cabinet. And even beyond your scope in Kenya, you have connection with the leaders abroad. To young leaders watching our channel today, what would you say are the key tenets that makes a good leader, having experienced leaders for all these years?
There may be three basic things. The one of them is faith. You cannot escape that. What is your faith? Who is the authority in your life? And if you think it's you, then you cannot be a leader. A leader who thinks they are the ones who are the powerful ones. And that's what we go wrong. So who superintends you? And is there a mighty being? And is there a God? Is there what being is there above you that you can go to when you are stranded? You have exhausted yourself. Who holds your hand? And I keep asking that question to the young people. Ask yourself, who holds my hand? Right now, in future, who holds your hand? And I thought that is really what took me through the pain of being expelled and having to flee the country. And I knew then who held my hand. That's number one. So it's your faith. But number two, it's really commitment to your goal. Do you understand why you are in this world? I was meant to understand. When I saw the punishment that people were getting, then I realized I have a purpose. So what is that purpose? And who is going to help you move with that purpose? Do you have a set of friends? So I like you to believe that you cannot go it alone. I already said you must have a superior being, but you must also have a support, a committed list of 3-4 people who you can go to every time. And that is what helped me, even to get out of the country. It is those friends who quickly said, we can support you. Some of them got me the ticket, some of them got me the visa, and so on. So it is time for you to think. Hold your friends very close to yourself, but make sure you understand your purpose. Why are you in this world? Don't go to the wrong people. Have the right friends. But finally, I'd say this: you need to be a man of courage. Okay, to face anything that is surmounted or insurmounted, whatever it is. You need to have that courage. Grow the courage. Train yourself to be of courage, of good courage. It's there that young people are told, be of good courage, be of good cheer, but be of courage. Train yourself to deny yourself certain things. Grow your courage. Make sure that you can see it coming and face it. Be able to face courageously the challenging situation, because life is not going to be easy. It's going to bring you back to that first one I said. Every time you're going to come back to that being, that God, whatever you call that person is your authority. Every time. So wherever you go, courageous, but bring you back to base. This is what I would say to young people today. You don't have to be a Christian, you can be a Muslim, you can be whatever your religion is, but know that there is some authority, but you're not the final authority. You need someone to hold your hand, and keep asking yourself, who is holding? Because sometimes it's the wrong hand, so be watchful that you're not being held by the wrong hand. Be careful, because there's a lot of wrong hands out there, especially for young people, that you don't get influences from the wrong hand. Look back to where the right hand, strong hand, a hand that takes you across rivers, mountains, wherever you need to cross. So that's what helped me. Now, there are many other ways of leadership, of course. You must create something that has become a pet subject called trust. You must create trust. For you people to elect you to trust, you must be trusted. And how do you get trust? It's a subject for another day. But please be a trusted person. Don't be caught in this corruption. And that's what I stood for all my time in my leadership. Not to be found, to be caught, not to be practicing corruption. Don't steal from the people. Why are you stealing from the people that you're serving? And that's the biggest mistake that leaders are making today. Today, people get out on technicality, but they have stolen. They have stolen, but they will use the courts, they will use the law. That doesn't change your situation. You're still a thief. So let young people, let's learn to be satisfied with what you're doing. Work hard for yourself. Raise your own resources. Make money, you must, but don't go into corruption and theft. You'll be in trouble many times, and you'll not enjoy your life.
Oh, that's really powerful. You said have faith, something bigger than you. Be committed and have a committed group that you can run to and learn to be courageous. And you've told me a number of times on the need to avoid trouble, and you've also repeated, avoid trouble. So maybe before we let you go, because of your meetings, would you perhaps recollect a point in your journey, in your career, that you are really most proud of?
It's many that I'm proud of. But I remember one that when I was just about to be expelled from this party, and we had a parliamentary group meeting, and everybody feared to speak in front of the president that time. Everyone. And so when he started any questions, he asked any questions. And it's a very difficult moment for me now, but that's really part of what led to my explanation. Yeah. So when the president was saying any questions, and I put my hand up, I found out that I was the only one. I was the only one, and a friend of mine was stepping on my feet, trying to warn me that you don't do that here. So, but I still went ahead and asked my question.
Yeah. And your question went to explain.
And I wasn't answered.
What was your question?
That made me very proud that I could ask that question. Because it was about my community. And I wanted to know why. Is there that kind of what my community being marginalized? Yeah. Why?
Lastly, before your parting shot,
so that is what a proud moment for me. And there are many others which are bigger, but that to me was the beginning of courage. That's how I started building that courage from there.
So I interrupted there a bit. before you give us your parting shot, in the same light, is there a decision that you look back to right now and you'd say you would have approached differently?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is always something that builds that courage. Okay. It helps you learn more, you make mistakes. And all leaders, you find you make a mistake. And sometimes you feel like you should have done it this way. Today, when I look at the way governors in this country run, and especially in my county, where the governors now have become, made a lot of money for themselves and wealth for themselves, and MPs are benefiting from just the CDF that is supposed to be helping people, and MCS are doing the same. And sometimes there are times when you reach a point and you say, I should probably have been there in that leadership at that time. And I remember 2013 when we first started electing governors, and I opted to run for Senate, and I lost that seat. And I've never thought about it, but I keep thinking, should I have run for Senate first? For governor or member of parliament at Patriotism. So there are times when you make a decision and you regret later that you should have been there to do that. But the other thing which is very important for me, and I say this, is when I came back from the United States. I came back in 1982, right after the elections. I came back from the US. And the decision would have been, do you go straight for election or you wait for the next? So I'd come back right after the election. Should I have come? So that's the kind of thing that I've been invited to come. But I find out later that it was good that I went to a university to teach. Prepared me for now the next phase of leadership, which is coming back to become a minister, to become a majority leader, and so on, so on. So it's very important to know that sometimes you don't know what you've done. In my entire life, and I'm trying to recollect this myself throughout my political life, which is what I've done the most. I've only taught at university for 5 years. I taught 5 years. I taught in high school for a while, but most of my life has been in politics, and have come to appreciate that leadership is needed. Leadership of integrity is needed. We need people with integrity to lead. We have so much resources, but it's all wasted, stolen. And I think that's the one thing that. Do you sometimes regret that you are not wealthy? Not as rich? Sometimes you do. Yeah, maybe sometimes you think maybe I should have, but when you go back to your being, to your God or to your faith, you realize you're happy. You're very happy without all this stuff. And I've seen how people are proud to be rich, proud to have so many things, but really, do you have what matters? So, there's one thing I cannot regret. I cannot regret that I have a belief, a faith, that has taken me through so many hurdles. And so that I cannot regret.
Okay, so our last question before we close the live is something that if we don't ask you, then most of our viewers would ask, why did we have the interview? The current state of the nation, the rot in parliament, the rot in citizen, and the rot in SHA. In one of the broadcasts you highlighted that this rot can be stemmed back to 2013, when now the executive started introducing money into parliament. And even during the Kibaki era, this rot was not there, perhaps. So what would you say of the current rot in parliament and this rot blending between parliament and the executive? Having been in our democracy and even looking at the future of our democracy.
It's now become systemic. It is become part of the council. But we don't see it. We don't see it. Very few people see it. The people in government can't see it. But there's so much rot. There is, it's become easy to steal from the public. It's become easy, and I said since 2013, it's become easier to steal. With budget corruption in our budget making, we put corruption. It's budgeted corruption, so that you can see. And I keep complaining about this. How come it's easy for leaders who have been elected or appointed to live large? How do you live large? I mean, the salaries people are given should not even enable you to live lives. You know, to say that I've been able to own or to buy a chopper, to build a new house in a year, to do all these things. You're living large on what? On what part? For who? And from on whose account are you doing that? So it's easier to steal from the public because we do build systems to allow for corruption. If you're a chairman of a committee in Parliament, how do you become rich on account of being a chairman? How? You're just supposed to facilitate a committee. That's all. And so there are so many reasons. And then you see how opulence is being shown to us. You know, a young man has just been made minister just the other day, 2 years ago now, and already it's become a billionaire. Already. So you tell me how is that? That's the question we need to ask. So what's become of our road has become systemic. And very few people then who sit outside, probably from outside, are able to see, look inside and see. The only problem is the systems that's supposed to correct this wanton, gluttony, whatever it is already in the system.
Yeah.
And it's like, can you arrest yourself? No. Yeah. I see the president now coming out and saying Parliament is corrupt. Yeah. That pronunciation, that pronouncement alone, I should lead to something. Yeah. So when you say that Parliament is corrupt, so we just leave it there then? Is it but we leave it there because you say that Parliament, that statement is an end in itself, but something is going to be done about it. Because unless it is said, unless CDF, which is a basic constituency fund, does what it's meant to do without enriching people, you cannot say you can stop corruption. Unless the Water Development Fund is kept to do what it's supposed to do, then you can't say that you can't fight corruption. If you allow people to benefit from that, you are good. That is the basic, that's the foundation. Before even you come to the national level, you know, we were ministers. At one time, not at one time, you have found me as a minister, flying choppers around to go places. No, we drove to places. If you went commercial flights, if necessary, that is how you take care of your country. Yeah, you know, you don't want to spend for the next generation. You know, you need to be able to save for the next generation. We're now in a system that says, as long as the money is there, we must finish it, we must eat it, and that's wrong. And I think that when the president mentioned this, I think now maybe it's a moment of Damascus turnaround, Damascus moment, or a time of conversion, so that we want to see that conversion, we want to see the steps taken, and we're going to see. I hope. I think that this president can actually be the one to fight this corruption. Yeah. So I do hope that the time for turning around has come.
That's very important. The sustainable aspect of it, you said leaders should actually spend resources thinking about tomorrow. And our leaders think that as long as the resources are there right now, they are for spending right now. What would be your parting shot to our listeners as we release you to your meeting, sir? Thank you.
This is our country. We have one country called Kenya. We love this country. It's a beautiful and very special country to us. Young people, they should grow in this country. Because right now, every young person is thinking, how do I get out of Kenya? How do I get out of this country to go look for resources? I mean, we should think patriotically about this country. How you survive, even if you see the things are very difficult. This is what a lot of young people become creative. Be creative to survive in this economy. You can't wait anymore for the usual jobs because they're not there. And even if they're there, they're given away. Yeah. Selectively, and again, that's where corruption is. So be creative, think, innovate. Let's find you doing things that the rest of us cannot do, so that you can survive instead of just thinking, how do I leave this country? I think the future is in the hands of this country, and I think the patriotism already shown by the Gen Zs is something to emulate. And I want to encourage them that you have saved this country to some measure. You have helped this country to see that there is a generation here that will take care of us. They call them tribeless, whatever it is, but there's a generation coming. Keep your patriotism and love your country, what you are doing, even when you go to demonstrate and so forth, is part of your patriotism. And it just shows that you want us to hear you differently. And I want to ask the government to listen.
Thank you so much, Honorable Samuel Poghisio, EGH. Honorable Sam, in the few minutes that he has given us, has told us that for the young generation who wants to be leaders, have faith, have commitment, and people that you can go to. And also beyond that, some want enough courage to face everything that can come on your way in life. He has given us a snippet of the resilience built in him, coming from his community that is known for such resilience, and also because of the things that he lost on his way to get here. We thank him so much for the shot that he has given the youth that this is our country. Don't look for opportunities anywhere. Be innovative, be creative, so that we can survive in this economy. We hope to have this session with him another time when his schedule allows. At this point, we want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Civic Lense. You can leave your comments and questions there at our comment section, so that when we have an opportunity with him again next time, we will start with the questions and comments. Thank you so much for watching.
All right, thank you.